So I've been in recruiting for my entire life. Since I was about 21 years old that I started out as an intern. Besides being in talent acquisition, I've always been interested in people. But if we connect the dots backwards, right, you do find your life purpose at a very young age. In order to do that exercise, you can try the connect the dots backwards, right, and try to figure out like what you enjoyed doing when you were a kid, and then later in school, and then if you enjoyed your career or not. One of the things that I'm really curious about right now is I've been reading a lot about resignations, and I've been seeing a lot of good people go, and people that don't necessarily have another offer around the corner. They're just leaving because they're burnt out or really tired. I was trying to think a little bit about like what has happened in this year and a half that has been so transformational to many of the organizations, and especially the leadership style that is now required to handle permanent stress and permanent changes in the workplace and in the industries, and all companies really. They have to think really hard about their purpose, about their value proposition for employees, about whether this value proposition makes sense after a year and a half of pandemic. So also there's been a lot of women that have left the workforce, and this has been really critical in the US. So that's not good news. And I think companies really hard to think about why people value the benefits or the companies that they're working for. And the gig economy is growing. I have experience working there, so I know it works. Like I used to work for hours. I could choose if I wanted to work 8 hours a day or 6 hours a day or 4 hours a day. It was gig based. So if I chose 10 gigs, I knew the amount of hours I would need to get 10 gigs done in a day. So it was really interesting to see that there are models like that are also very interesting, and you can survive on those, right? And now that I'm in the corporate world, it has been very stressful, right? To have to create your life based on your job instead of based on your life, right? I have a 3-year-old kid, so it has been really hard, I guess, on my kid, even though I'm at home, but I'm not focused on him. I was reading an article about why great talent leaves. Most people think it's because of the bosses, but it's not necessarily because of the bosses. Sometimes it's because people are not placed in the right jobs, right? Or because people don't find fulfillment in the jobs that they have been assigned. And the really talented people usually will try to design or co-design with their leaders their jobs and functions and try to create around that, right? So you risk losing really good people because they're not doing passionate things, or maybe they're not getting enough exposure, or maybe they're not getting enough recognition, right? So it's also not only about the boss, but also about the job itself, right? And right now it's very dangerous for companies to not pay attention to why people are leaving. As an HR practitioner, I feel that we're very pressured to change things really fast, and if the corporations don't have the trial and error mindset, right, to try out things and get them on go live as soon as possible, right? You can always fix things along the way. Like things are not that, like mistakes are not that bad. So I think it's a very stressful time for many of us, right? People that are working, it's very stressful because the changes demand so much time, and industries are being transformed as we speak. So the pressure and the projects are huge, and you need a very large force of people that will shift the energy and will inspire others to work toward these goals, right? And it has also made people think a little bit more about why they are working where they are working. Not being at the office, well, it's equal to more hours, right? Because those hours that you would commute, that maybe you would listen to music, are now used to check emails, send emails, work on your projects, right? So you get no like switch off. So people are really much questioning their life purpose. It's a very risky time for companies to lose people at the moment, right? And I think we have to be faster at sort of assessing how bad this is in our companies, like how many people are actually thinking about leaving, making this anonymous, maybe having more focus groups, maybe talking to our top talent and asking them if their jobs are actually fulfilling. Maybe they want a little bit more balance. Maybe that they're managing too many things in their platter and they're not being recognized for it. Maybe they're in projects that are not interesting and that are not ticking the button on business, right? So there's a lot going on, and we're gonna have to move so much faster than we're moving, and we're gonna have to start taking risks. Let's start thinking about potential versus CVs, Ivy Leagues, and curriculum, just based, and start thinking about potential, people potential. The ability to see the future, the curiosity, the learning agility. Are they staying with what they know, or are they actually interested in continuing to learn, right? So what drives people? I think it's one of the best times in history to be in HR. I'm really happy to be in HR, like where we can actually work with people and work with helping people. But it's also a very stressful moment. It's a very stressful moment. And I think the numbers show that as well. Like people are, maybe they're not quitting their jobs now because they feel the economy is a little bit it's not that stable. And I have had very many job offers rejected in the past couple of months, right? So I know people are like clinging on to the stability, but and listen to this one, right? I also know that the good people, like the talented people, like your top talent or whatever you call them at your company, whenever this passes a little bit more and the tide sort of calms down a little bit more, they're going to think about what the company did or did not do for them in the darkest hours. So think about that. Like, did you listen to your people in the darkest hours? Like, what did you do for them, or what can you do for them right now, right? After we've been through so much, right? So companies that nail this and do something about this potential risk of losing really good people will win in the war on talent, right? And those that don't, as soon as the economy starts to get better, as soon as people understand that it is now a global economy, that you can sell your skills in these really cool platforms like TopTal and Fever, and there's a couple more, I don't remember the names right now, then there's a big, humongous risk that you will lose really, really great people. So we have to step up. Like, we have to make our C-level reflect. We have to make them think hard. We have to talk about this. We have to have a war room. Like, people are the ones that make a company, right? So it's the best, it's the greatest asset. And I'm sorry for being cliche, but it's just the way things are, right? People are the ones that move people, right? Large organizations need really good leaders, right? And especially now that is very hard to motivate people to keep going and to keep going fast, right? Because the changes are just, they're not stopping. Like, when nobody's having a recess, there is no break. We have to go, continue, right? Change. And, so hectic world out there, but people have options. So we have to take care of our good people.